And I literally thought that because I was a target, that meant that one analyst was assigned to me and that one analyst just delved through my life. I had no idea that there was these massive like teams all integrated and working together poring over my life. So rather than one analyst looking into my life, it turns out that dozens, if not hundreds of them, were actually touching various parts. I hate using that word, but it's what they were doing, various parts of my life for years, and still do to this day, I'm sure. I see that, I mean, I have learned a lot from now studying 1,000 documents or whatever, and having written more generally about Snowden releases and other related whistleblowing for the last however many years. But your average like intern at the NSA and any of these programs would know more than I know, like guaranteed. Anyone who works on the inside of those agencies would know way more than I know. And I think that at various times in the series, we've had curious ex or current employees of those agencies come and give some insight into various things. And I think that those people that show up anonymously or otherwise in chat and give their 2 cents probably know much more than me as well. So when I'm saying what I think, I'm saying it either from a target perspective or from a journalistic perspective of having studied the documents. But I don't have a military background. I've never been trained in any of this stuff. So I'm just putting 2 and 2 together from the resources that are available. So I know more than the average person on the street who hasn't read 1,000 documents and isn't a journalist, but I don't know anywhere near as much as someone who's actually on the inside of these organizations. So I'm very aware of what I don't know. I'm very, very conscious of what I don't know. Just to give you some background, when I talk about me being a target, we know at least 88 New Zealand citizens were referred to the NSA by the GCSB, which is the New Zealand's NSA, in the period, I think, 2005 through to 2012. Our spy agencies in New Zealand have refused to confirm or deny whether I'm one of those 88. I've been fighting to try to get some justice on that front for the past few years, and will continue to do so in the coming few years. However, there is a number of indicators that yes, I'm in fact one of those 88. So when I talk about having been targeted, this is rooted in fact. It's not some conspiracy theory. It's something that actually has happened to me and a number of people who are associated with people like Kim.com, for example, and others. So that's my position that I'm coming from there, my experience. Somebody said, has this happened to normal citizens? All of the NSA Dragnet surveillance is taking in the data of every single human being that they possibly can, certainly in all of the English-speaking countries, all the European countries, and any country that they can access the networks of one way or another. I often try to explain to people that, you know, we know that if people use encryption that they are targeted. We know that if they use Tor or anonymity solutions that they are targeted. We know now if they use Bitcoin they were targeted. But the thing is, if you don't use any of those things, you're targeted by default in the Dragnet. So you can't get away from it. Everybody is a target. Everyone is a target. That doesn't mean that they have referred you to the Target Analysis Center and they have dozens of people pouring through your life, but they can if they want to. If they ever decide at some point in your life that they are interested in you and they do want to do that to you, then they can, because that massive data repository in Utah has everybody's data, all of it. All the data of your usage of anything on the internet is going in there by default. So the reason that we like to use encryption where we can is because that means the data that they're capturing is encrypted, and then it raises the bar in terms of the resources that they have to spend and use to try to decrypt that data one way or another. There's a whole range of methods by which they can do that, and in some cases they can't do that. We know that some encrypted programs they cannot yet penetrate. Usually they go through your endpoint. I don't really want to go down the technical path because that's for another discussion. We've talked about it repeatedly in the past, but everybody is a target. Everybody. Civilians, citizens like me, single mums in the suburbs can be targets. This is not just about terrorism at all. They use terrorism funding and resources to do it, but they are capturing, the NSA said they want to know it all. They want to know it all. They want all the data on every human being on this planet. We know, if you followed the anti-spy bill series that I did with Internet Party last year, you know that through Google Classroom, they're now capturing the data of 5-year-olds, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-olds in school, their emails, their web searches, their calendars. The NSA knows that your kid went to soccer on a Tuesday or a Thursday at 5 p.m. They know which other students in your kid's class also went to soccer with them. They know what the assignments were that the teachers gave your elementary school kids. They know what your kids wrote on their little classroom computers and their little essays and their projects. When I was in primary school, they said pick a country to write about. I wrote about Afghanistan because I thought the name sounded like an Afghan cookie. And so I picked Afghanistan. In this day and age, the NSA will know that your child wrote about Afghanistan when they could have had the choice of country to write about. This is how fucked up it is. They are now targeting minors. Like minors with an O, not an E. They are now targeting children. They are harvesting the data of children. The schools all the way through elementary, middle school, high school, university, are data mining our entire education, our social enterprises, our relationships. They ingest in Google Classroom, they ingest the enrollment records. They know which kids are in which classrooms and have which teacher. If they have an issue with a teacher at any point, they can go back and see every single student of that teacher, retrospectively. And they will hold this data forever. In 20 or 40 or 60 years' time, they will know which school you went to, which class you're in, who your teacher was, what other kids went to school with you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This is how pervasive the surveillance society is now. It is everywhere. So understand, it's your mobile phone, it's your computer, it's your workplace, it's your place of education, your school. It is absolutely everywhere. It is this camera on the street when you walk down the street. It is the card that you swipe to get on the bus. It is absolutely every single facet of human society is under surveillance. It's all being captured by these agencies. And what we see in these files is that they develop programs for military use and then they roll them out against the civilians. So that's what we're talking about before with traffic, thief, and Iraq and the targeting programs that they're using for the capture kill operations. They're openly saying, hey, let's roll this out globally. Global is the word that you hear again and again and again in these documents. Global network, global enterprise, extended enterprise. They are creating a massive spying conglomerate across all of their partner countries and partner agencies. And that's why any country that won't get on board with that, they go after to destroy. That's why they hate Russia, they hate Iran, and they hate China, because these are the final frontier. These are the last countries who will not subjugate themselves and their civilian populations and their spy agency and their networks and systems and hardware. They will not subjugate themselves to, we call it the Five Eyes, but it's now like the 100 Eyes. Literally 100 countries are in bed with these guys. This is what globalism really is. It's not just economic, it's not just corporate. Globalism is they are trying to create a central control network, a central surveillance network for every human being on this planet. All that geospatial mapping stuff that we were just talking about before, this is them physically wanting to map every single location on the planet. Like we had Google cars running around taking photos of every single house and every single street and every single suburb and every single, industrial zone, commercial zone. They want that level of mapping for the entire planet. They do not want one shanty town or shack on this planet that they have not mapped, that they can't view by satellite. They want every single phone, access to every single phone and computer on this planet. They want to capture and keep all of that data from the entire planet. So yes, this is used against civilians. and then you tie in the drones. We had drones in 1 country, in 3 countries, in 5 countries, in 7 countries, in 9 countries. You would have to be blind to not understand that they eventually will roll out drones on our soil. They're already doing it at the borders under the guise of border control. They're already doing it with the flyover surveillance blimps, and the Snowden has talked repeatedly about the flyover surveillance of the FBI on US soil. The day will come where weaponized drones are deployed. I mean, we've seen now they're deploying drones at protests. They're now equipping drones with pepper spray and with crowd control devices. The day will come where the same weaponized drones that we have basically sat by and watched terrorize 9 countries simultaneously worldwide, the day will come where that, if we don't stop it, where that is rolled out around the world, where you don't have a police officer that arrives at your incident, you have a weaponized drone that arrives at your incident. You know, like we saw the robot blow up, like the bomb robots or whatever, blow up that guy who shot the cops in, where was it, Texas or something, last year. Eventually that won't be between the robots and the drones, they actually won't need the police. It'll be some people in a data center somewhere. And this is the very dystopian future. You're muted, by the way, Elizabeth. This is the very dystopian future that we're heading towards really, really quickly.
I was typing earlier and I didn't want the typing to interrupt you, but artificial intelligence is also a part of that dystopian picture, because now they're using artificial intelligence to analyze the footage from weaponized drones in the quote fight against ISIS. But eventually, like you're saying, you're going to see the artificial intelligence being used in these situations. So it's not even a guy in an analysis center, it's artificial intelligence analyzing this footage. So anyway, but it's really, really not good at all. And imagine if somebody makes it, if some mistake is made in that analysis, what does that lead to with weaponized drones? So
totally. Any other questions? Oh, that was the other thing I wanted to say, guys. Sorry. And just so that you can be aware too of New Zealand, I've just put a link for you guys into chat. This is a tweet I sent earlier on. It's an interview that I did back in 2014. I was interviewing the ex-co-leader of the New Zealand Green Party about how in New Zealand a law was passed. There's been a series of surveillance laws passed, but one in particular was passed to allow the police agencies to and the spy agencies to covertly place cameras inside our domestic dwellings without a warrant. So they don't even need to get a warrant anymore. They can just decide that they want to know what's going on inside your house and stick a camera in it and watch you. And they can take that footage, anything that they see on that footage, and use it to apply for a warrant. So it is, and this is something I talked about in my documentary, Diary of a Person of Interest. It's something I've talked about on a number of occasions. And when I have raised this point with people, they generally are just like, no, that can't be the case. Like, that's too Orwellian. It is the case. It's been happening for years. And I can also tell you that it's a whole range of government agencies now that are doing that, even like customs and fisheries and a whole bunch of government agencies, social economic development, a bunch of them. They were doing that prior to them passing the bill. The bill was passed to basically legalize what they're doing. And this is something, a pattern that we see again and again, which is where the spy agencies decide they want to do something, they go ahead and do it. Eventually it becomes an issue, so they pass a bill saying that they can do it. They create a law to legalize what they're already doing anyway. So this is a big part of their giant scam, is that they'll just do it for as long as they can get away with it, and then they will turn around and legislate it, legalize it after the fact.
Yeah, Suzie, we just had a massive, as you were saying that, you had a massive round of audio interference for a number of seconds as you were describing that issue. It wasn't quite the robot voice, but it was pretty close.
Wow, how interesting.
Like really bad all of a sudden. Fly heard it too, so.
Wow, how interesting.
You need to rant more about that topic, obviously.
Yeah, YouTube isn't the friendliest platform in the world for us to be having this conversation, unfortunately. Hang on, I'll put my headset in again. Maybe that will help.
Yeah, it's gone now. It was just very random for a second. There are only 2 times I've heard that sound, and the first time was when everybody reported the robot voice, and then this one. So after all those months, it's not very often that happens. But
It actually happens to me a lot in my audio interviews, my radio interviews. That kind of interference, or my, like when I'm on a phone doing an interview, like it'll just get cut off again and again and again or whatever. Okay, so the other thing, I wanted to answer Bullshit Hero about the synopses of the findings of DecipherYou. So I'm just going to screen share really quickly.
yeah, awesome. And I will go grab a drink myself.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, awesome.
I
I'll be
was
right
just going to show you on DecipherYou. So on DecipherYou for each batch, I haven't done the batch 4 yet. I've actually got all the notes sitting here ready to go. But each time we complete a batch, I go through and I put the findings, just like really, really short versions, like literally 2 sentences and a link to the document. And they're just listed like this. So if you're wanting to make memes, or if you're wanting to, recap, take Fly's video recaps or whatever, this would be your best thing to use as a basis. So it's basically just a list and with the document links to each finding. So that's probably like a really good start. Then what Elizabeth does is Elizabeth actually goes through and does a long form article, like a proper reporting article on disobedient media. And that's more of a narrative form. I think her last one was like hidden secrets of the Snowden files or something. I can probably look it up for you. And that's where she takes all of the findings from the batch and then turns them into something really cool. Yeah, here we go. I've got it. Here it is, Hidden Secrets of the Snowden Files. She's quoting me. I call the Snowden Files the gift that keeps on giving, and with good reason. And then she goes through and presents, and she's even linked and she's embedded some of the DecipherYou clips and videos. But she goes right through and she's linked to like, a dozen or more different findings here from each of the videos. And she's embedded tweets as well. So I'll copy this and I'll stick this in chat for you guys because it's a really awesome resource. So you have the short list of findings on DecipherYou.com. You have the long narrative write-ups from Elizabeth on Disobedient Media. You've got the short video clips on Fly's channel, and you've got the full episodes on my channel, on my YouTube channel, which we're on right now. So what we're definitely missing, like having people who are able to turn that into like a really punchy online format, like the memes, or a recap video of all of the findings. That would be very, very, very cool to do. If you can help us to do that, that would be great. It would be wonderful to have like a 5 or 10 minute video that recaps the entire DecipherYou series findings to date, just like number 1, blah, 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 number 2, blah, blah, blah. That would be fantastic. But I really suck at video editing in a very big way and at producing video. And it's not Elizabeth's forte either. So we definitely need someone who's good at that, who can help us to do it. We're lucky enough to have Somerset Bean, who's done the graphics that you see for DecipherYou. He's also did the graphics for my Being Julian Assange article and the Q&A event with Kim.com. So we do have some support in terms of graphics, but we definitely need some support with videos, cutting videos. Okay, do you guys have any other questions for me?
Also, I am back.
Cool.
I'm here with you all. once again. I just heard the tail end of that. It was really a good point about us not having video editing skills. But as I said earlier, and as I linked into the description, into the chat, we do have that Reddit, which will give you a lot of different clips that Fly's put together of different subjects, which will help you get started if you're trying to make a compilation video. And I use that sub all the time when I'm trying to get back to Fly's specific videos of different findings.